Okay, good morning. Good morning. Thank you everyone for joining me on our new episode of Social Media Saturdays. I'm Taria Hodge, and I'm the owner of Mayaba Consulting Services, and I'm what's known as a business trainer. So many of you probably know me as the lead trainer for the peak performers in business trainer. What I do is I teach the hard skills or the technical skills to small business owners and entrepreneurs on what they need to survive in business. So all the technical stuff, that's what I offer and that's what I bring. Okay. So this morning on our social media Saturdays, I am pretty excited because I have our special guest and friend, Glenn Garnes of Village Connector Media and Consumers Win. And Glenn is a small business coach and also a small business strategist, okay? And what he also specializes in doing is helping small business owners or helping people get started with their business, okay? So if you're a new business owner out there and you need some direction, you need some pointers, Glenn would be the perfect person for you to talk to. So I'm pretty excited to have him here today to talk to us about harnessing the power of LinkedIn for your business. Okay, so I get a lot of questions, mainly because my base is social networking, and people ask me all the time, how can we utilize social media more in business? And that's what I teach on. I get a lot of questions on LinkedIn all the time. So LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network, social network out there. And a lot of people, want to know how they could use LinkedIn more, not just to build relations, how they could, use it to generate revenue in their business. So today I have our special guest, Glenn Garnes, and he's going to talk to us about that as well. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm just going to turn it over to Glenn this morning.
Hey, thanks a lot, Taria. Thank you very much for having me. This is a really great idea because when you think about what most of our friends are normally doing on a Saturday morning, it has nothing to do with advancing themselves in any significant way. So I applaud you for making Saturday productive for people. That's wonderful. And, this is one of my favorite topics, and you're doing a fantastic job of, supporting small business owners with their social media endeavors, and anything I can do to support your efforts, I'm happy to do. So are you able to hear me okay? Is everything good? Uh-oh, Taria, I don't
Okay,
know.
Glenn, yeah, I'm here. I was on mute. Okay,
Oh,
I could
okay.
hear you fine. Okay,
Fantastic.
I
Just wanted
see
to make
people.
sure.
I see people are joining, but let me just make sure. Okay, let me check and make sure that everybody is on. Okay,
Okay.
so just
No
bear with
worries.
me one moment.
Take your time.
Okay, yes, Glenn, you're good. So go ahead.
Very good. Okay, well, so thank you for having me on to talk about this topic. Obviously, it's one that's a favorite of mine. It's near and dear to my heart. But I want to emphasize that today my approach to teaching you about LinkedIn has less to do with features and functions and bells and whistles. It has more to do with the philosophies and principles that you embrace as you are active on LinkedIn. And that's important to remember because I think that there are a lot of places you can go to learn how to use the features of LinkedIn. And that's important. But more important than anything is what you do with those features. It's kind of like you can go to learn how to drive a car virtually anywhere. But having someone teach you where you should go with it, what's possible with the car, is probably more important than the actual mechanics of driving the car. So for today's purposes, I would like to lay out three things that we should seek to accomplish today. The first is that I'd like to share with you some general philosophies and principles that, by the way, will work both on and offline, and they'll work in LinkedIn and every other social network for that matter. But for today's purposes, we're going to show you how to apply them specifically in the LinkedIn environment. The second thing I am going to do is to give you some specific strategies that fit very nicely with LinkedIn, but again, they translate to other social networks too, especially Facebook. And we're going to go through those, just very briefly and give you some ideas. And then the last thing that I want to do is to give you an invitation to continue the conversation with me, and I'll explain what I'm talking about later, because I know that some of you are going to have questions after the event. You might want to get connected in a way that allows you to continue to have access to me, and I'm happy to do that. But let's start off and maximize the use of our time by focusing on as much substance as we possibly can today. So as I said, LinkedIn has a lot of great features and functionality, a lot of things you can do. You can do a lot of advanced searches, and you can filter and find people based on the schools that they went to. They can, so if you're an alum of a specific school, you can actually pull up everyone else that's part of that school, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But I think that before you even begin thinking about using the LinkedIn features, what you need to be focused on more than anything else is what you're doing, what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish by being on LinkedIn in the first place. And most people that are on LinkedIn, they're there because they're looking to make quality connections that lead eventually to sales. They're looking to grow their businesses. They're looking possibly for joint venture partners or customers or whoever it might be. But ultimately, whether they will be successful on LinkedIn is not a matter of whether they'll find those people, but whether they will inspire them to be attracted to them. So the first rule, and this applies generally to social media, but the first rule on LinkedIn is that to remember that social media amplifies who you are. It's either a tool that will accelerate your success or your demise, depending on how you use it. If you come on to social media and on LinkedIn and you have bad habits in terms of people skills and how you interact with people, then you will simply accelerate the pace at which people, repel you or move away from you. If you have good basic philosophical values and principles as it relates to how you relate to people, then LinkedIn will be a big component of helping you to attract the right people to your business. As I said, whether they be customers, whether they be resources, whether they be partners in your business, whomever it might be, you'll do a better job with LinkedIn if you have the right principles and philosophies in mind. So just keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that LinkedIn, like most other social networks, is a community unto itself. And there are certain protocols and norms and expectations of people who come into that community. For example, most people on LinkedIn are not looking to have a bunch of selfies posted and a whole bunch of fun videos on YouTube and things of that nature. They're there primarily for business purposes. So it's important for you to quickly understand the environment that you're stepping into. It's kind of like a chamber of commerce versus a nightclub. If you picture Facebook as a nightclub where basically anything goes, there's all kinds of things going on. People are sharing what they did today, and it's very social on a informal basis. LinkedIn is a lot more professional, a lot more focused on bottom line business type things. So you wouldn't go into a business networking event or a chamber of commerce event and expect to be talking about, what kind of sandwich you ate today and all that kind of stuff. So what you want to do is to make sure you're comfortable with the protocol, with the community norms, if you will. So I would ask you to consider comporting yourself consistent with the way you would act at a business networking event, a high-end, black tie affair type thing. And that'll usually put you in the right frame of mind, right frame of reference for how to be successful on LinkedIn. Now, few philosophical principles that are important to keep in mind. And again, this works in every social network, but we're going to talk about LinkedIn today. It's always a good idea for you to look to become one with the community that you're about to join. And what I mean by becoming one with the community, if you watch what goes on in the community and you see how people are interacting with each other, find a way to fit in with that expectation when you join the community. And what I mean by that, I'm not telling you that you got to conform to what other people expect of you, but let's face it, if you're going to stick out like a sore thumb if you're acting in a way that's inconsistent with what people expect. And being, acting or sticking out like a sore thumb is not a good thing when it's not what people came to that community for. And that's why you want to be careful to make sure you understand what people expect. When you go into LinkedIn groups, they're not looking to have you pitching products and services for them to buy. LinkedIn groups are designed to be a discussion opportunity, an exchange of ideas. So when you come in, and even under the veiled purpose of trying to help people, you're basically leading them back to your products and services, especially when you're doing it very early on in your activity within that group. You're going to turn people off, and they're going to talk about you. They're going to avoid you. They're going to do everything they can to stay away from you. And that's the direct opposite of what you're trying to create. So become one with the community, and we're going to talk about some ways to do that in just a minute. Become one with the community, and you won't find yourself being someone that people avoid. The second principle, and you might want to write these down. There's only 4 of these, but the second principle, the first one, of course, was become one with the community. The second principle is simply this: see the opportunity to build relationships rather than closing transactions. See the opportunity to build relationships, not just close transactions. See, a lot of times we walk into networking events and we see, it's almost as if we're looking around the room and everyone's got a $ on their forehead. And our job is to pick them off before somebody else gets to them. Well, you know, people can feel when your primary purpose for talking with them is to size them up to see what you can sell them. They can also feel when you have a genuine, heartfelt interest in what they're talking about and what's important to them in the discussion. So that's why I think it's important for you to look beyond the transaction and look to nurture the relationship with somebody. And the reason that's important is that I've actually had and seen people that will buy from you just to get you off their back. And they never come back again. They don't recommend people. They don't talk well about you. They just want to get you out of their hair. But someone who invested in the relationship with them will come back over and over, and they'll want to talk positively about you to their friends and their colleagues and people they could refer, because everyone likes to talk and boast about people that have done a good job for them or people that make them feel good. There's a book called The Science of Getting Rich. It's written by a gentleman by the name of Wallace Wattles, Wattles. And in that book, he talks about the importance of giving increase to others. And what he's talking about is making other people feel good about themselves and feel good about you because you have invested in them, either through, you know, building the relationship or otherwise. So wherever you go, you should look to do well, do right for people, do what makes sense for them, even if it doesn't involve immediately buying your product or service. That's the problem, is that most of us, we put the cart before the horse. We expect for people to do business with us before they even know if they like us. And so that brings me to the next principle, number 3, which is make a friend before you make a sale. Make a friend before you make a sale. And what I mean by that is, again, we have a tendency to put the cart before the horse. We expect for people to patronize our businesses just because we gave them a business card and explained to them in our so-called 30-second elevator speech, or our elevator pitch, or whatever you want to call it. We expect for them to stop everything they're doing and start thinking about buying stuff from us, or referring people who will buy stuff from us. What if we changed that around and we stopped long enough to find out what was important to the person we're talking to? Instead of putting the focus on us, what if we put the focus on them? What if we listened intently to what they had to say and asked sincere follow-up questions that logically follow from what they just told us, instead of just having a conversation to get to the end so that you can then go forward with your agenda? See, most people don't have the confidence or the patience to invest in a relationship at that level, which is why most relationships that you make at business networking events are rather superficial. People very rarely follow up with you because they didn't really feel any reason to. But if you are sincere about how you're interacting with people, if you are sincere in your interest in them, then you're going to find them a hell of a lot more interested in what you do when you've taken a sincere interest in what they do. So let me give you an example of where you can do that on LinkedIn, and this works at networking events as well. When I go to networking events and when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm always looking to find out enough information about the other person to then find somebody else I know who I can connect them to. On my business card, it specifically has my title as connector, not president, not founder, not CEO, connector. And what that really does for people when they see that is they ask what that means. Connector, what's that? And I can actually tell them that my goal when I meet other people is to connect them to other people who add value in their lives. Huh, isn't that interesting? And then I'll turn the conversation back to them, and the next thing they know, I'm actually gathering enough information to see who I can connect them to. And now they've had a chance to specifically experience what I'm talking about when I characterize myself as a connector. Now, you can do that through social media. You can do that in person. You can do it on the phone. But the point is that the philosophy is what's important, not where you do it, not the tool that you use to do it, but the fact that you're doing it. So make it your point to make a friend before you make the sale. The fourth principle I want to share with you is understanding the power of influence. You see, all these things we're talking about lead you to become a person of influence. And we're going to explain why that's important in just a minute, but you should seek to create influence rather than power over people. Now think about this. I'm going to give you the names of some companies that you all will know very well. And I want you to think, as I'm telling you about these companies, what they all have in common. And it's not, I'm going to give you a heads up, it's not success, it's not being big, it's not being a household name. They are all those things. But there is something very important they all have in common, and I hope that we can get to that in just a second. So think about Starbucks, Apple Computers, Whole Foods, American Express, Harley Davidson. What do all of these companies have in common? The thing that they have in common is that they have influence with a group of people who consider themselves to be part of that community. If you are a Starbucks customer, you will not be caught dead buying a coffee at McDonald's. You are a Starbucks customer. And you will spend $5 to get some Starbucks and walk out with no bucks, no matter how many that you have, and you'll do that every day of the week because you are part of the Starbucks community. Harley Davidson. If you ride a Harley, you will not ride with Honda owners. It's just not part of the culture. You are part of the Harley community. I know Apple people, if you sit in a cafe, an internet cafe or a co-working center, they won't sit next to someone with a PC because they're part of the Apple community, or they'll talk bad about you while you're sitting there as your Windows is crashing and all that other stuff that happens in PC land. They'll sit back and laugh at you. But the point is, they consider themselves to be not just a Apple customer, but part of the Apple community. Whole Foods is almost like a social event. You're going shopping, but you're also meeting people at a grocery store. And it's part of the culture it's the culture of that community that attracts you, not just the products. Because Lord knows that, what do they call Whole Food? Whole paycheck. It's not the cheapest place to go shopping for food, but people gravitate to it because of the culture they've created. American Express, it's the one card people won't leave home without. Membership has its privileges. These have been their taglines over the years. So you're part of the American Express community. You're not just a card holder. So with that in mind, you have the same ability to attract a community of people to you, your circle of influence. And you have the same ability to influence them the way that these brands do if you do what they did in these instances. You gave them what was important to them. And you did that in a way that gave you influence with them, not over them, influence with them. So I encourage you to, again, focus on the power of influence. It's a very important concept, and it goes over a lot of people's heads, but I'm going to show you right now how you can assure yourself of developing influence, and then we're going to talk about some ways to do that on LinkedIn. So becoming a center of influence is a relatively simple concept. A lot of people let it go over their heads because they don't take the time to stop and think about what it means to have influence with people. Taria has influence with me. When she asked me to be on this webinar with you this morning, I didn't have to think twice. I wanted to be part of something she was doing because she's a colleague. She's someone I respect. She's someone that adds value in my life. She has credibility with me, and I'd like to be part of anything that Taria is doing. And that's why I'm here, because she is a person of influence. I love that I'm part of her circle of influence. I hope I'm part of the inner circle. Now, the way that you develop influence with people, if we work backwards in time, and the way that Turia developed influence with me is exactly this way, is that you start by offering value. In other words, you focus on what you can do for someone without their having to buy anything from you before you worry about how much you're going to sell them. So there are plenty of ways for you to offer value, and especially through LinkedIn. We're going to talk about those. As I said, I keep saying we're going to talk about it. We are going to get to that. But you want to focus on the fact that your first order of business anywhere you go, any social network, and especially on LinkedIn, is to find a way quickly to offer value to other people. For one thing, that's going to distinguish you from everybody else that got on LinkedIn, did a search, and started spamming people with, their little capability statement or what it is that they do, the special promotion they have on this, that, or the other thing. You want to distinguish yourself from your competition? Focus on the other person first before you expect for them to focus on you. That comes directly out of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Take a sincere interest in others before you expect them to take an interest in you. Now, the reason that value is so important is because value, when you become the source of value for somebody, you start to develop credibility with them. Credibility translates into trust when you do it on a sustained basis. And trust translates into influence. And when you get to the point where you have influence with people, you don't have to sell them. They want to know what you think. They want your input. They want your feedback. But you can't get to influence until you've offered value and allowed that to be done consistently enough that people give you credibility and begin to trust you. And that's especially true on the internet. You got to realize that when you're on the internet and people are looking at your profile, they have no measure beyond what you've chosen to put on your profile of who you are and what you're about. They can't see you in person. They can't shake your hand. They can't hear your voice. They can't chat with you so that they have an interaction with you. So they're going to be a little bit standoffish in the beginning until they see who you are. And the best way for you to reveal who you are is to show them value. So I hope that that makes sense for you. I hope that you take that to heart, because I'm telling you right now that your success in social media and on LinkedIn is as simple as following those 4 simple ideas I shared with you earlier. Becoming one with the community, seeing relationships, not transactions, making a friend before you make the sale, and understanding the power of influence. If you can focus on those 4 things and then use some of the tools that I'm going to recommend right now to you to implement those teachings, you will be a hit everywhere you go. And Turia does this very well. So understand that if you just follow her model, she's offering value to you today by bringing you this free workshop where you're learning something that's going to give you resources and information that's going to help you to be successful when you go someplace else. She does this every Saturday. So she's developing credibility in her brand. That creates trust, and that's why she has influence. So keep that in mind. I'm not talking about something that's theoretical. This is the way it's actually happening. Now, let's talk about some actual things that happen on LinkedIn and some ways you can put your best foot forward in the context of those activities. Now, on LinkedIn, you know that there are people that reach out and connect to you, and there are people that you'd like to reach out and connect to. Let's talk about the people you're going to reach out and connect to first. I have found people to be a heck of a lot more responsive when I reach out to them on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has this kind of antiquated approach to connecting because they almost don't want you to connect with people unless you already know them, which I find to be kind of counterintuitive. So one of the things that you have to do on LinkedIn is if you're at least one generation, if you're just within the second level of people, second generation, you can actually click to connect with them and specify that you are a friend or you are in a group that they belong to or you participate in some other forum online that they belong to. If you select friend, most people won't be offended even if you're new to them, as long as you do one thing. You explain to them in the message that goes to them when you're trying to connect with them exactly why you're looking to connect. Okay? So here's what I do when I connect with people on LinkedIn. I will click the link for friend so that LinkedIn will actually let me connect with them. And I will send them a short message letting them know exactly why I'm seeking to connect with them. And I will always reference something I saw in their profile that caused me to reach out to them. And the reason that's important is that that tells them that you took the time to read their profile. You took the time to find out about them. You took the time to see who they are. And when you do that, that's one way to signal that you're sincere about having a relationship with them. So with that in mind, always reference something you found in their profile that you found interesting. Dear Taria, I was checking out your profile here on LinkedIn, and I see that you teach on social media marketing. I think that's fantastic because it offers a great deal of value. I'd like to be connected to you so that I can recommend you when people ask me about social media. Now, that's a great way for you to place the focus and emphasis on the other person. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly those words, but the point is, don't make your first connection with somebody telling them about how much you can do for them if they buy your product or send you referrals. Nobody cares about that. They want to know you before. Let people get to know you before they get to know your business. And one of the best ways for them to get to know you is to know you first by how much of an interest you're taking in them and what's important to them. So you might even ask a question. Hey, listen, I see that you teach on social media. What can I do to get you in front of more people who I know that may need your service? You're guaranteed to get a response then. So the point is, and it doesn't take much effort for you to do that. It just takes you caring enough about the relationship and not just the sale to kind of take a step back. Sometimes it's important to slow down if you want to speed up. And this is the best way I know to do it. So as you reach out to people to connect on LinkedIn, the worst thing that you can do is to use the little standard canned message that says, and everyone sees this, we all see this, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network. Nobody got on LinkedIn so that you could add them to your little box of play toys. So please, make the message personal so that it means something to them. Never use the canned message. Now, here's a mistake I made that I didn't even realize I was making, but if you're connecting with people on LinkedIn from your LinkedIn app, LinkedIn doesn't give you the ability to modify that message. So I would encourage you, if you're going to connect with people, to make sure you do it from your computer where you have control over the message that goes to them when you seek to connect with them. That was a mistake I was making without even realizing it when I first got on LinkedIn. So don't make that error for yourself. The second thing that we often see people do is if you're going to connect with them, there are people that are looking to connect with you. So the first thing you have to do is forgive them when they're not following these rules that I'm laying down for you, because they will use the standard message and they will spam you with requests to buy stuff or keep them in mind if you know someone that needs their services and all that other, all those other artifices for trying to get connected to you. But here's what I do when people connect to me. I send them back a message. I'll accept the connection, but I'll send them back a message immediately, and I'll usually say, thank you, and I use their name in the subject matter. Thank you, Taria. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, whoever. And then the message is simply this. Dear Taria, thank you for connecting with me on LinkedIn. Was there something specific about my profile that caught your eye? Now, the reason that phrase is important is because it tells them that they better go read your profile because you're asking them what was the reason for the connection. And most people that were not sincere in their desire to be connected to you, they won't respond to this message, and you'll know exactly what category to put them in at that point. But the ones that were really sincere in their desire to connect with you will have a reason why they connected with you. And if they don't have a reason, if they were sincere but just didn't think, they weren't being thoughtful about this, they'll go back and take a look at your profile and tell you something. At least they've read your profile. The next sentence in this little message I send out simply says this: please let me know please let me know how you found me and how I can help you. I'm always interested in knowing whether someone found me through a filter or whether they saw me online, like they may have seen me in a discussion group. I've met a lot of people, they see me in a discussion group, and they'll say, hey, you know, I see that you were talking about this, you know, I thought I wanted to connect with you because I really liked the point you made or the article you posted or whatever. So ask them how they found you and ask them how you can help. So those are 3 simple things. What did you see? What piqued your interest about my profile? How did you find me? And how can I help you? If you do that, they'll know that they're connecting with someone that's not just the body count person on, you know, there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, they connect with everyone just for the sake of the connection because it's a big contest to see how many people you can have in your network. It doesn't matter that none of them know you or care about you. It's just a matter of a body count. You want to focus on quality, not quantity. There was a time where I wouldn't even connect with someone on LinkedIn unless I was going to take the time to actually get to know them personally. Now, I've varied that a little bit. I've softened that up a little bit, but I still don't just click, accept people's LinkedIn requests without at least sending them this message I'm telling you about. Because that's my way of investing in the relationship as opposed to the transaction. So, now, you connecting to people, people connecting to you. Those are 2 very good opportunities for you to distinguish yourself as it relates to your interaction with people on LinkedIn. Another place it's real important for you to make an impact in a positive way and to develop credibility, trust, and influence is the way you choose to engage with people in discussion groups. There are tons of discussion groups on LinkedIn. They're all organized by subject matter. It can be everything from art to marketing to stock investment, whatever. If there is a topic that people are interested in, there is a LinkedIn discussion group about it. So I encourage you to go and search the LinkedIn groups section. Use the search tool to go to groups and search for LinkedIn groups that are subject matter significant to you so that you have the ability to participate in discussions that make sense for you. Now, if you know that your customers are interested in a particular topic and you know that they would tend to be in that group, the goal there is to go into those groups and get to know people. Like I said, become one with the community. The best way for you to be one with the community is to actively participate in the discussions without trying to promote and pitch what you do. So let me give you an example. If I went into a discussion group, I usually will spend a day or so watching what people are talking about, getting a feel for the mood and the culture of the group, seeing who the players are in the group. In other words, there's always people that are centers of influence within that group. They're usually posting useful information. They usually get a lot of comments back. They usually are commenting on other people's posts. Those are people who are centers of influence, and that's who you ought to be looking to get connected to. So you might send an email or a request, a LinkedIn connection request to someone and say, hey, listen, I see you're very active in the business networking group on LinkedIn. I really like the things you've had to say, and I'd like to be connected directly to you. That person's almost guaranteed to connect with you because they're doing the right things. They're attracting the right people, and they assume that if you recognize the value of how they're interacting and interfacing with people, that you're the right person for them to be connected to. Now, here's the good news. If you go in and model yourself after what they're doing and you're an active, productive participant in that LinkedIn group, you're going to attract people to you just by your behavior within that group. So one of the things that you can do to be productive in a LinkedIn group is to participate in other people's discussions, to comment on the quality of what they've shared, to thank them and be grateful for the information that they're providing. And if you thank people and comment about something specific you got out of something they posted, hey, Glenn, that idea, those 4 principles that you shared were perfect. It's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you so much for that. Just making a comment like that distinguishes you from everybody else, as opposed to what we normally do, which is to comment so that we can then post a link to something we want to sell somebody. So be very careful to be sincere about your praise and your acknowledgement and recognition of people, because they can see through that too. The second thing, so commenting in a thoughtful way and thanking others for the contribution they're making is a great way for you to begin the process of becoming an influencer. The second way that I like to do this is to ask questions, especially when I'm new to the group. If I come into a group and I just start posting stuff, it's kind of presumptuous for me to think that people are going to be interested in what I'm posting. But if I ask people, hey, would you mind telling me something? What made you join this group? What do you find is the most valuable part of being part of this group? What were you looking for when you came to this group? You'd get all kinds of people that would post, I like the people in here. There's really sharp people that post good articles, etc. Now you know if you go out and find a good article, they'll like you too. I really like the discussion because it helps me to go deeper with my own thoughts. So now you know that if you participate in discussions, someone in there is going to like you. So the point is, sometimes getting a conversation started that has nothing to do with what you do or what you sell or how you do it is one of the best ways for you to add value in a discussion forum. And again, these principles work everywhere, but we're talking about LinkedIn. So I would encourage you to do that. In fact, if the only thing that you did was to focus on those 3 activities within LinkedIn, asking questions, sharing information, and commenting and thanking people for their contributions, if that's all you did on LinkedIn, I guarantee you that the rest of what you would do would fall into place. People would want to know what you do. They would ask you and seek you out instead of you having to run around social networking land chasing them down to try to tell them what you do. So I would encourage you to adjust your attitude about how you engage with people on LinkedIn. Focus less on features and functionality and bells and whistles and focus more on why you're there, which is to make quality connections. Quality connections will always provide value to you and value to others when you are the quality connection that they just made. Now, I'm going to stop here and see if there are any questions and turn it back to Taria, and then I'm going to share with you a way that we can continue the conversation if you'd like to do that with me. So Taria, back to you. If you, I don't know if you've been monitoring questions. How are you doing over there?
Okay, I'm doing pretty good, Glenn. This is awesome. I'd like to thank you so much for this today. Okay, even for me as a social networker, I have to admit, and I have to be totally transparent. LinkedIn, was a little bit intimidating, for me. So thank you so much, for sharing the tips that you offer today. And I especially like the fact that you're talking about building relationships, okay, becoming an influence, and being sincere, because after all, that's why people want to connect with you, okay? They want to be able to see the value, okay, that you provide. And sometimes, I know we're all, business owners or entrepreneurs, and we hear everyone talking about, we got to make this money, we got to make this money, we got to run around here, generate all this revenue, and that's great, but this is laying the foundation on how you get to that point, okay? So I love it when you said, make a friend before you make a sale. That was powerful, for me right there. How are you connecting? How are you acting as a resource? And I'm big on that. I teach that, from the core. How are we being a resource, to the people that we meet and to each other? So thank you for that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and check the Facebook group to see if we have any questions. I know we have comments. I forgot to bring my trusty journal this morning in a rush to leave the house and get here to get set up. So I am actually taking notes. I'm a student first, so I'm still taking notes. So I'm posting my notes online, okay? So so let me just go ahead and take a look in the group and see if we have any questions or if we have any comments.
Well,
okay, and I see that we...
I'm sorry, go ahead. You have some comments or some questions?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I wanted to say good morning to Paulette Stevens out there, okay? And she has a very interesting comment, okay, for you, Glenn. She says, although I have a LinkedIn account and many people connected with me, she has not used LinkedIn at all because it seems overwhelming to her. Okay, presentation and the information that she's receiving from you this morning has actually made her excited, about LinkedIn again. So Paulette says thank you.
Well, she should be excited. By the way, when you see me looking over the top of my camera, I'm actually looking at Taria here as she's talking. So don't think that I'm like not paying attention. I've got my camera here, I've got my microphone here, and my computer right behind has Taria. So I'm kind of watching what you're doing as well. So that's why I knew when I laughed when you picked up your tablet or whatever, your smartphone or whatever. But
Okay.
well, she should be excited, Taria. I mean, this is why it's so important to understand not just the mechanics of the tools that you have, but to also understand how to use those tools and what they can do for you in your business. You see, I could give a toolkit to 5 different people. They all have the same tools. And some of them will build outhouses and some of them will build mansions. So it's not the tool, it's what they do with the tool that's important. And that's why I focus so heavily on teaching you how the tools should be used and for what they should be used. Because a lot of people, it goes over their heads. They get this new tool and they get a car and they don't know where to go. They buy a boat and they don't know how to set their sail, so they don't go anywhere with it. So it's important to learn how to use the tools and to be clear about what you're trying to accomplish with them. It's kind of hard to build something if you don't know what you want to build.
Okay, and then I also have another question, or actually a comment. Can you repeat the 3 principles or the 3 things that people should be doing when they connect with someone on LinkedIn?
Oh, absolutely. I think that what you're referring to is when someone connects to you, what you should be saying in reply as you accept their connection.
Yeah, when
Taria, you just froze on me. So whatever you said, I missed it.
Okay, can you hear me? I think I lost audio for just 1 second. Okay, so can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. So I do believe the question is the 3 things that you should do when you're first connecting with someone on LinkedIn. Okay.
So let's talk about those real quick. So if you're initiating the connection, the first thing you should do is to review the profile of the person that you're looking to connect to. You want to make sure that you find something in their profile that was the reason that you were seeking to connect to them. Now, it doesn't have to be something in their profile. You might have seen them in a LinkedIn group, and therefore you liked the way that they were providing value in the group, or you saw something that they mentioned that was interesting. Find some reason beyond just, I want to add you to my LinkedIn network, as the reason for you to connect with them. So you do that, number 1. Number 2 is use the friend button, because when you open up Connect, it's going to give you like 5 choices. You can ignore all of them except friend. And you want to delete the standard LinkedIn message, which is I want to add you to my LinkedIn network. Delete that and put in instead your reason for wanting to connect to them. Now, it doesn't give you unlimited space, so it only needs to be like 2 or 3 sentences maximum. So simply say, I saw the discussion that you started in the group in the startup LinkedIn group, and I appreciated what you said about X. I'd like to connect with you personally, or you asked a question and I have an answer for you and I'd like to connect with you to give you that answer, or I really appreciated the article you posted, I'd like to connect with you personally. Those are the things that you would do if you are initiating the connection. If someone has initiated a connection with you, the 3 things you're going to do in reply are to thank them for connecting with you. You're then going to ask them what it was they saw in your profile that piqued their interest or caught their attention. And then the third thing is to ask them how you found them, or how they found you, and how you can help them. How they found you and how you can help them. If you thank them, ask them why they've connected, and then ask them how they found you and how you can help them, you're almost guaranteed to start that relationship off on the right foot. And again, if they don't have a sincere answer to those things, then they probably were just looking to spam you with something anyway. So you've actually probably scared them away so that they're not wasting your time either. Were there any others, Taria?
Okay. Greg, and I'm just typing that into the Facebook feed right now so I can make sure that everyone gets it. I'm a master at one finger typing. Okay.
I'm actually
Okay, so
when we're done here today, I'm going out to buy some new thumbs because I've been texting more frequently.
oh
You know,
really?
the texting is driving me crazy. My fingers are like they're numb by the time I finish having a conversation with some of my text friends.
Right.
I know you like
Okay.
texting too,
So I
so.
went ahead. Oh yeah, like I said, I'm a master at the one finger now. Okay. And Jason, CEO Mohammed out there says excellent ideas, and he actually admit that he had it all wrong. So I'm really loving, Glenn, the engagement. And I'm so glad, that I made the decision to reach out to you and connect with you this morning, to have you, on Social Media Saturdays to deliver this information. So thank you. So go ahead. You can continue. I'm loving this. I'm taking my
Well,
notes over
I'm
here,
glad.
and I'm loving the engagement.
I appreciate people's comments. I appreciate their questions, and I appreciate the fact that people feel that there was some value delivered today, because that's what I enjoy in all these interactions. I love knowing that somebody walked away with something that could be a breakthrough for them. As Trevor says, your big your big breakthrough could be, or your big takeaway could be someone else's big breakthrough. And I'm glad to
Right.
know that somebody got some value this morning. So it was worth it to get up on a Saturday morning and turn off the cartoons and actually get something that's going to help you build your business or your career. So good for you. Thank you so much for that. So let me
Yeah.
tell you a way that we can continue this conversation, because I like to be a resource to people as much as possible. And I've created some resources I think can help you with that. I am actually preparing right now to relaunch my radio show. And I've decided to change subject matter. It used to be just about business generally. I've got a new radio show. It's going to be a podcast format, and it's called Get Ready to Profit with Glenn Garnes. In fact, I don't know if you can see this. This is my show bug for the radio show. And I'm actually in the recording studio right now doing this podcast, or doing this webinar. So if you go to getreadytoprofit.com, on the right-hand side of the page, there's a place where you can join Partners in Profit. That's our club. It's called the Partners in Profit Club. It's at getreadytoprofit.com, and profit is two is T-O. So getreadytoprofit.com. Go there and fill in your name and your email address, and you'll automatically become part of the Partners in Profit Club. Now, the reason that's important is that one of the benefits of being a member of the club is that you're going to automatically be invited to join my private social network called Small Business CEO Lounge. I have my own Facebook-styled social network that's specifically for me to invite people I want to stay connected to become part of our community. Now, normally that's $97 a year to join that program. The people that join the Partners in Profit program are getting that for free. The second thing that you get as a member of the Partners in Profit Club
Wow.
is a copy of my ebook, Small Business CEO Essentials to Business Networking. And that, of course, is free as well. And in that book, I go into even greater depth on some of the principles that we talked about here. It's about 65 pages long, so it's not just some pamphlet or something like that. There's some real substance in there for you. So I encourage you to join the club. If for no other reason, get that ebook, print it out, put it in a 3-ring binder. I think you'll find a great value. In fact, a lot of people are stunned that I didn't put that up on Kindle and sell it. But I wanted to give that away because I felt that if I could give that to the people that were coming into my world, they would do a better job of networking, and they'd become more valuable as in my circle of influence if they were better networkers themselves. So I want everyone that I know to know what I know about networking so that we can all be more valuable to each other. The third thing that you get as part of the Partners in Profit Club is, first of all, you get notification when I'm doing a new podcast episode so that you can tune into that. The podcast itself is about moving from employment to entrepreneurship. So every week we talk about things you can do to monetize your talent beyond a paycheck, whether it's franchising, whether it's consulting, whether it's freelancing, whether it's network marketing, whether it's information products, whatever it might be. There are hundreds of things people could be doing to create new income streams for themselves. And they're all easy to do if you just take the time to get the information. So every week we cover a different revenue strategy. And at the end of each podcast, we give away a free ebook or a free special report on that subject matter so that you can literally build a library of things you could be doing to create additional income streams for yourself. And again, that's all free. So I encourage you to join Partners in Profit. If for no other reason, then it's free. And I want you to understand that free doesn't mean no value. It just simply means it's not going to cost you a economic investment. Now, let me warn you about investing. I know a lot of people who are willing to invest their money in their business. They're not willing to invest themselves in their business. The way that you invest in your business that's most important is by investing your time and your thought and your energy into your business. It's not enough for you to invest your money and not be part of that investment yourself. So an investment in yourself is an investment in your business. And that's why I'm making these resources, my podcast and all these other resources, available free of charge, because I want to see who's ready to invest in themselves. No, I know a lot of people will pull out the credit card, swipe the credit card, buy a whole bunch of stuff, and then they disappear. It's hard for someone like Taria or for me, who prides himself on being part of your success story, to be excited when you pay your money and then disappear. We're looking to create success stories, not just to pad our bank accounts. So be prepared to invest in yourself. And this is kind of the litmus test for who's ready to do that. If you want to get ready to profit, you better get ready to grow. So, Taria, I'm going to come back to you. Taria, I just lost your picture. I'm not sure what happened here. I hope everyone can still see me. I'll kind of hang out here a little bit while Taria's figuring out what's going on her end. I hope we didn't lose her connection completely. It looks like she's coming back, I think, maybe. But anyway, so as I said, you should be looking to invest in yourself as much as you're willing to invest cash in your business. I don't know a better way to do that than by picking up information that you can use and finding a way to immediately apply it in your business. Be sure that you give these things sincere thought. If you're willing to invest in yourself, then other people will want to become part of your circle of influence. You should look to invest in yourself at the level at which you expect results. And if you do that, people will see you as being a person of value, a person who gives them increase. And that's when they will be attracted to you. Now, Taria, I don't know if you're still there. I see that there's some changes on the screen. It looks like we're still live. So what I'm going to say is, unless you're able to get back on here, I'm gonna guess it's okay for me to bow out. And for those of you, if you can still hear me, I don't know, because I don't have control of the interface, but I want to thank you for taking your time this morning to give me the opportunity to share a few tidbits of wisdom. I certainly hope that they make a difference in your business, and I shall look forward
Please
to
be patient. Let me see if I could get Glenn back. We just had a little snafu here with the internet. I guess the signs are all over the place. It's time for me to come back to the mainland. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, you need to get back here. We miss you.
So bear with me one moment. Let me see if I can get Glenn back on the line with us.
I'm still here. I'm still here. I've been here the whole time. I don't know whether we lost me and you or just you, but I've been talking the whole time. So I hope that I haven't been wasting anyone's time by talking and not having them hear me.
It just went down for like about 2 minutes or so, okay? And I don't know what happened. I just saw, that was it.
Well, when we go back,
okay.
And listen, when we go back and listen,
what I would like to ask you to do.
We'll hopefully see it. I said when we go back and listen to the replay, we'll hopefully see whether it continued recording. Uh-oh, Taria, I think we're losing I think this is an internet connectivity thing with Taria being in the islands. That's unfortunate because this was such a great idea, great exchange, and I've really enjoyed it. And again, I'm going to wait and see if Taria gets her internet connection back up. I'll just sit here for a minute or two more. Just wait. I'm looking at the screen now to see if Taria is going to come back up here. Well, hopefully you can still hear me. Maybe for some of you, you're tired of hearing me. But this has been good. For those of you that really understand the value of investing in yourself, I think that we gave you some stuff this morning that will make a difference. So please take action immediately. Go play around on LinkedIn, but play with the intention of adding value to people's lives. And there's Taria. She's back. I think she's just trying to get reset up here. So, Taria, I can see you if you can hear me.
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you fine now, Glenn. My connection is going in and out, okay? But I just got word from Paulette online that they could still hear you.
Yeah, so that's good. That means it was just your internet connection. So that means that the time that you were off, I actually was continuing to share some information, and I was about to say I was going to wrap up unless you were able to get back online, but I'll kick it back to you and let you wrap things up.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask you to just go ahead and repeat how to connect to Partners in Profit and the 3 benefits that people will receive. That's the last thing that I heard. So I apologize if I interrupted while you were going through that. But
not a problem at all. So for those of you that are interested in getting connected to me, go to getreadytoprofit.com. Getreadytoprofit.com and fill in the form on the right-hand side, and you'll automatically be given an invitation to join Small Business CEO Lounge, my personal social network, and that's a $97 value. There's nothing to pay, so just go and set up your profile. And you'll automatically get Small Business CEO Essentials to Business Networking, my ebook on relationship building. And the third thing is you'll be notified of our podcast and other resources. Even if you don't listen to the radio show, we're going to send out a new free resource every week that has something that will be of interest to you if you're interested in building a business or other income streams. I encourage you to listen to the podcast, of course, because that'll give you some insight into the gift that you get each week. But this is only going to be available to the people that actually join Partners in Profit. And remember, it's free. But the value I consider to be priceless, especially if you'll take the information and use it and invest in yourself by taking action on the information. So back to you, Taria.
Okay, all right, Glenn, and for delivering such great value today. I'm hoping that everyone out there, in our social media Saturdays group had the opportunity to walk. Well, I know they did. I'm not hoping. I know they did. They walked away with some excellent value, great nuggets, things that they could actually start doing to helping them moving forward with not only their social media strategy, but their strategy to harness the power of LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm just going to say thank you once again, Glenn, for joining me this morning, and I'm going to close out because my screen right now, I'm talking, but my screen is gray. So well, I know I probably won't have connection much longer.
We can see you fine. We can hear you fine. And thank you again for having me. Please have me back again if you think I can help with something else.
Yes. Of course. It's always my pleasure, and you'll be seeing me soon. So I'll be back in Maryland at the end of January, okay? So my days in the sun are limited.
Well, we'll look forward to having you back here. We need a warm hug right now. It is brutal cold out.
Yes, I have lots of warm hugs when I come back.
Very good. Very good. Well, thanks again.
All right, Glenn. Thank you so much. You're welcome. And thank you, everyone, for joining Social Media Saturdays. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.